And hello and welcome to Get in Tune today. Today we're on part 3 of making comics. So we're just going to click the intro and get right to it. Hello and thank you for joining me today. We're on part 3 of making comics. So today we're going to actually talk about penciling your comic and adding, drawing the text or writing the text to it. But before we begin, I want to show you guys one of your best friends in making comics, and it's the ruler. Okay, comics, although could have kind of rough borders, they're images within a box. So you got to know how to make the boxes. And it's really just, you can measure them out to whatever size you need. If we look over here, you can see I pre-made boxes for you. And this is a file you can download from my website, getintoon.net. And a ruler is going to be very helpful for you. And that's not just for making the boxes and the space in between the boxes, but for helping you with its text. So I'm going to show you a few things. I'm going to explain the ruler to you guys, and then we're going to get onto the comic. So let's just view this screen a little more in depth. Okay, this is a template I made. I made it for myself to help me out when I'm drawing my comics, to give me ideas and to kind of rough stuff out, because I like to draw small. Not small, but I like to draw on smaller paper than the actual size, because I always draw larger. Now, what I would do with these is I measured these out to fit standard newspaper comic size. And this was a while ago when people were still really reading newspapers and stuff. Well, I don't know how well they were reading newspapers when I built it, but comics were still, the newspapers were out there a lot more. And so these measurements fit what would be in a newspaper comic, or what would be a daily comic strip. So I was able to kind of play with ideas, print them up, kind of scratch out the ideas, play with them on the computer or whatever I wanted to do before transporting to the larger paper. And all I would do is scale these up on the computer. So it would fit automatically to the sizes I need. But let's talk a little bit about what these are here. So the outline, okay, this is the border. Okay, so the comics fit within the border, the drawing, the text, all that stuff. And there's some where you don't want to use a border, so I draw within it, but I don't ink the border. It's a stylistic choice. Actually, Garfield has that style that the first panel has a border, second panel doesn't, third panel has a border. In here, this space in between is what we call the gutter space. Okay, this whole box, whatever's in here, this is your panel. So these are the parts of the panel. Now up here I have a title. So if you do a strip regularly, you can give it the title. So you can say my comic. And if it has a number, like say, oh, you've been doing this for years and you're up to number 372, which would just be a little over a year if you're doing dailies. And then if you have a partner, say one writes, one draws, you can say, so I'll say Michael Grassia here. So these are things you can add to it. You don't need to fill those things in unless you really, you really want to. But it's important to know these things. The other thing that it's important to know, and we're going to work with the 4-panel strip today. So I set this up for 4 panels. If we look down here, we got what I call text guidelines. Now, what these guidelines do, what these things do is this is where we write in between, and this is where the ruler is important. All right, I'm going to switch back to the picture, to the camera of me real quick so I can show you on the ruler. All right, and how this works. So on a ruler here, and I can't really zoom in too much. I want the inches side. You see these inches between, well, this side, but just look at it, my fingers over here, 0 and 1. Okay, between 0 and 1, there are 16 marks, and we call them 1/16. Now, every 2 marks is an eighth. I'm not going to go crazy and talk to you about math. I know it's a bit annoying, and I don't want to confuse the young kids watching. But what I do is I use these lines, okay? And I use these lines in between here on the inches side. I'll use my other hand here. Where is it? Camera's there. So I use these lines to really help me guide it. So I might do 1/16. So I'll go down 1 mark and I'll on the ruler and I'll mark it, okay? So we can see here, where is it? Right here. So just look at the 2 to 3. So I go at that line where the 2 is and I make a mark. That's my starting mark. Then I go down to that little line underneath the 2 and I make a mark there. That's just a little space. Then maybe I'll go down 2 or 3 marks under that 2 after that next mark there, right? I'll make a mark, then I'll go 1, and then I'll go like 2 or 3 marks, 1, 2 or 3 marks, and so forth until I go down. And I create these guides with the ruler to help me with my writing. So hold on, add to stream here, and let's go full. So if I was writing as an example, hi, my name is Michael. What I'm going to do, and whoops. Oh, no, that's not the layer I want. Actually, I'll use that same layer. It's okay. So you see, I'm going to leave that empty space. I'll zoom in a little bit more so you can see. I'm going to leave that empty space at the top here. So this would be this would have been 2, right? If I was looking at the ruler, this would have been that 1 mark. And then I go down 1, 2, 3, then another mark, 1, 2, 3, another mark. And that's how I'm doing it. So I leave these small spaces blank. And the reason I leave them blank is because when we reduce comics, the work gets tighter. And you don't want the letters to touch each other. So we leave this little space so there's always a little extra room. And we write in capital letters. So if I wanted to say hello, so I'm going to start right here. And this is why comics always used capital letters. So I'm going slow because I'm taking one point to another point. And when I make my O, I could go all the way around, which looks fine. But some people, and I do this a lot, is I'll make 1/2 here and then come around the other way. So I'm going to go hello, my, and you could bring the M all the way to the bottom if you want, or you bring it halfway. That's your choice. I'm a halfway kind of guy here. And then I'm going to do my name down here. And on some, depending on the comics I'm working on, sometimes I will bring the M all the way down. And we want to try to keep everything uniform. So you see here I have small E's up at the top here, like small marks. I made my E's a little too big. So I'm going to bring that line down and try to keep them the same. Okay? And it's a capital I, but when we're writing, unless it starts a sentence, so this you guys know as a capital I, correct? However, you only use that if you're using the word I in a sentence, or it begins, or the first word or question begins with an I. So it was like, is there a car in my driveway? So it'd be a capital I. This we use because it just flows better that way when it's in a sentence. Whoops. And don't be nervous to erase. And lettering could be its own art form. I have a friend who's an amazing letterer and has lettered tons of comics throughout his career. Lettering is something I can do. It's honestly not my favorite thing, so I actually use a lot more digital stuff. So I'll do comic fonts and stuff that I research and find. But if you got to know some are paid for, so you need to pay for them. So then what I do is I create my balloon. And you'll notice I'm giving the balloon some space, right? And I'll have my pointer coming in the direction that I want to use, and then I'll erase right there. And the reason I didn't do a whole balloon, just so you know, is because the panel would be closing and be blocking it. But I forgot my period. But you'll notice I leave a little space. We want what's called breathing room around our balloons. And this just helps the comic breathe so nothing is tight and close together. I might even give it a little larger because I have that period there and I don't want to be so close. Whoops. Sorry, I hit the wrong tool. I don't want to be so close to that L and period. Okay. So this is how we letter, and the ruler is a really good tool and one of your best friends when we're doing this here. And sorry, I didn't turn my comments on. So if anybody has any comments or questions, feel free to ask. And let me turn this off here. Okay. So let's take a look. I'm going to do a 4-panel comic today. Whoops. Wrong screen. So one of the things that I did, and I'll turn this off because we don't need to see that anymore, is we created a comic last week. And unfortunately, you guys didn't see me draw it because I forgot to turn the screen back on. But this was the idea. It was a story about a dog and his boy. And they're playing, the kid is playing video games while the dog is kind of sleeping. And then he has this little, oh my God. He's like, I'll be right back. I have to go to the bathroom. And then the dog says, I love it that he's house trained. All right. Is it a funny joke? That's a matter of opinion. I don't know. So let's start kind of playing around with ideas. And I can always change stuff around. This was just a rough. I might have a better idea. And I do have a better idea right now for, whoops, sorry. I'm on the wrong layer. Sorry. I have an idea for that panel to change it up. Okay. So when we get to that panel, I'm going to change it. So now I have here, I will call this I'm just going to call this strip A Boy and His Dog. This will be strip number 1, and it's by okay. Now, if I want to write everything, I'll use the guides. If I want to use computer fonts, I'll use computer fonts. I actually there's a font I like. I'll show it to you guys. It's called Digital Strip number 2. I found it on, I believe, blambot.com. It's a free font, I believe, or Digital Strip 1 is a free font, and I paid for this one. I don't remember. So many things. So I'm going to look, and he says, I'll be right. What happened? Oh, man. Give me a second. Okay, I'm going to move this over here because this is where it is. You can see that also it doesn't hit the lines exactly, so I could make them bigger. So let's say I want to, and this is a little too big. I would never go this big as a comic font. Usually I do my stuff 14 or below. I'm looking at 20 right now. Maybe 21 will fit it perfect. Oh, where's the enter key? So it looks like 21 needs a little more. So let's go up to, we'll do a test, 23. And let's move it over and see. So that seems to touch it very nice. And also, I'm not going to go right up against the edge of the, what do they call it? Of the panel there, of the border. So I'll have him say, and this will move over, so it's okay. I'll be right, and I'll go to the next line, and it says back. I have to go to the bathroom. And maybe it can fit all on one line. Let's do a test. Doesn't look like it, but we'll move it over and see. All right. So I'm here, and it definitely needs at least 2 lines. So what I'm going to try to do, and I play around, and I'll put the word go back up there, and maybe to the bathroom could be all on one line. Now, you'll notice when I set this up, okay, the word go doesn't work there. So, whoops, undo. I'm just setting up the font so I could show you how to do this. And the reason I didn't want to do this because I don't like one word on a line alone. You'll notice that here there's a little bit of space, but it's not, it's a little tight. So I'm going to go up to like, I'm kind of fixing it. So it looks like that will work. Okay. And we like to try to center it. And then I'll write over here, I love that he is, or let's just do it, he's apostrophe house trained is 2 words. Okay. Let's bring that up. So let's go in, and I do this a lot. I play with where the fonts will be. And let's move the text to where it belongs, and we keep it centered. Now, what I'll do is on these pencils here, I'm going to play with giving the balloon some space right here. And this one here, the last one, it's the dog saying it. So should the dog be talking, or is it a thought balloon? And a thought balloon is made by making it look like we got some clouds. And I might even do a little over here. And you don't want to do it above the, or through the borders. And I'll put a circle here. And we usually use 3 circles to figure out where it's coming from. And I'm going to put I'll figure out where to put the pointer later. All right. So this is the first thing I do is I create my text and my balloons. Now, I'm using the font here on the computer. That's fine. If I was to handwrite it, I would have handwritten it the same way I showed you, but I'd work on centering. And if you're working on a computer like I am and you're using something like, let's say, Procreate on the iPad that you created this with, you can always turn off layers if they bother you. It doesn't really bother me, but I'm going to turn it off just so I can see a little better. So panel 1 is the boy. Whoops, wrong way. And his dog. So I think looking at this here, he's over here, and the dog, he's on this side here, and the dog's here. I'm going to switch their sides. Okay. So I want to put the boy over here. So he's really into playing his video game, right? So maybe I'll have his body in a weird position, like, he's really in that there, and he'll have his legs will be crossed the way he's sitting. So 1 foot's over here, 1 foot's over here, and maybe his arm, and I'm going to move him over. I'll tell you know why I'm going to move him over? because I don't want him. I could cut him off on the border a little bit, but if this is the first strip, I'd like people to really see the character, you know. And then I'm going to come around this way with his arm here, and we'll have his hands. I'll use as circles, and I'll have a video game controller in there. And I'll have the dog right here. And right now I'm just using the shapes, and he's sleeping. And I forgot how dogs sleep. They're not like cats who tuck their paws under, I believe. So I'm just going to have that there so I know. And I'm going to put, you know, a line over here to show the background. And over here, we're going to have a little couch just to show that he's like in a living room. And maybe I'll block this off with the TV right here. Okay, we'll put a little couch. And later on, he runs up the stairs. So one of the things I want to do is have a staircase to show that he's going to go up the stairs. And we could do things. We can add a lamp here if you wanted to. You know, maybe put a picture above the couch here. It doesn't have to have it, but these are some of the ideas. Okay, so right now I'm just loosely sketching out. Now in this one here, I'm gonna go zoom in, and so it's gonna be the controller. Here's his hands playing still, but I really want to look at his body. Okay, so his arms up here and his head, maybe his head's you know, over here, and his eyes are going to change from, in this one here, he's going to be very serious, and, you know, he'll have his tongue maybe sticking out. And on this one, he goes to a uh-oh expression, because we'll put these wavy lines for his stomach, and we'll call it, and we'll write grumble maybe. I don't know. Well, I might change the word later, but we'll write grumble. Now, what I'm going to do is, let me move over to here. So on this one here, oh, by the way, on this picture right here, I want to put the dog's head popping up. So the dog will be off over here, and he'll be kind of like, uh-oh, because he senses it. His head will be up a little bit, so his paws will still be down there. Okay. So in this one, next panel, we got the kid here, which we never named, or did we? Did we name him? I forget. So I want a closer look of the staircase. Whatever, and this is just reference right now. I'll go in and clean that up in a moment. And let's get the banister, and we'll have him running, like really zooming up the stairs, even, you know, maybe create that old cartoon effect where his feet are moving so fast. So that's just a reference for me. Okay, and we can have the dog's head over here looking over at him, right? And then we can have, in the last panel, the dog looking at us here. Okay. Okay, we can have him here. I'm glad he's house trained. And maybe, you know, we'll have his paw like that, and it looks a little more like he's begging. So probably not. We probably won't do that. Sometimes I change it up from what it looks like, you know. It's okay. And sometimes I keep it. You know, so if I zoom out and I look at the the rough strip compared to what I'm starting here, that's fine. Now, because I use these as my templates and I can download and print up as much as I want, what I then do is I take this over, if I'm drawing traditionally, to my light box. All right. What a light box is, excuse me. What a light box is a box with a light in it. It has a piece of plexiglass. You can see through it. But on a nice day, like I'm looking out the window today, we have a really nice day. If you don't have a light box, you can take it and tape them up against the window and just trace. And I like to create guides. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to really start tracing and filling this in now. So I lighten my layer. I create a new layer. And give me 1 second. I believe I have the design in another file of the characters. So let me see. I believe it's in this file we created the other day. And let's take a look. So yeah, we had so Jimmy and Pee-wee were the characters' names. So now I'm going to look here at the reference of them. And let me just do it this way. Image, duplicate. Of course, I want to merge all the layers. And then I'm just going to, and you can have a piece of paper with your character designs next to you. So I'm going to take this. Actually, no, I don't even need the title. So why take the title? It's a waste. Okay, I'm going to copy that. And I'm going to go into my other file. And I'm going to remove this comic strip because I know I have it. And I'm going to paste. Let's see, where is it here? So let's paste that right there. And I'm going to shrink them a bit so it fits on here. There we go. I know what my characters look like now. So now, when I'm drawing, what's it called? Can look at my reference. I'm sorry, I got a comment here. It says, are you going back to an hour of drawing Monday and Friday? I draw Mondays and Wednesdays on the YouTube stream. Fridays I was drawing on a Facebook page I run. I'm not sure if I'm going back to the Friday yet. I'd like to. I haven't had the schedule to do so yet. But it's always been a Monday and Wednesday are the true educational days. I'd love to bring back the Friday because I've been doing Mondays since I started up again. Although, and I will make a post about this, next Monday is Memorial Day for us. So I will not have a stream on Memorial Day on the 25th. But anyway, let's take a look here. I got my character designs. Let's get a better sketch of these characters together. And because I'm drawing digitally, I can zoom in a bit. You can't do this on your computer, on your what's it called? With a pencil and paper. And I'll tell you right now, I still do a lot with pencil and paper. I love it very much. It's my favorite thing. So what I'm doing now is, I'm going to get a darker. I'm going to go a little darker. So let me move this up here. That will allow me to draw darker. And I'm getting the shape of Jimmy's head. And it's okay if I need to change things. So, and always go back and look at your reference. So that's Jimmy right there. So he's got his ear there. He's got a nose. He's got a mop of messy hair, right? And yeah, I'm doing Mondays and Wednesdays. I don't know if you've been here for all of them, but you should be able to find them throughout my YouTube page. A couple I know I need to bring, I need to, what's the word? Add them into my playlist. I haven't done that yet, but if you're able to see any of my live streams on YouTube, you should be able to look at the old ones. But I'm going to go over the next day or so and really, really fix it, you know? And I want him to have a big, kind of goofy smile. No, he looks a little too angry there, right? He's not supposed to be angry playing video games. Would have been quicker to erase. And by the way, Noah, who's been asking me these questions, I'm doing this. I'll have probably 2 more of these making comics before we move on to drawing other stuff. But now I was just thinking, were you asking me if you're about the pre-recorded stuff that I made for the really young kids? If that's what you were talking about my drawing, yes, but I don't know. I'm pretty sure I told you guys I got sick. I was gone for a while, a good month, unfortunately. And I'm still getting back slowly into the swing of things, you know? So I'd like to get back to that and start creating when I have more free time, but I don't have the free time as of yet to do that. So you see here, like, I'm going to fix this so his chin is over his arm. And I think it's better if it's like, I want him to be a bit more of a kid. You know what I might do? I might even just erase his neck. I don't think we need a neck on him. Whoops. I do want that though. And I'd like that line. So redo brush tool. So like, I'm going to bring his arm like this. And then this one, his shoulder will be more like so. And it's okay if you change your design a little bit from what the actual pencil is, you know, when you're doing your what we call the final pencils, which is what I'm doing now. Because the next video that I'm going to talk to you guys about, and what I'm going to talk to you about is inking comics. So keep the pencils together that we're doing today, and next time, well, not next Monday, but next Wednesday, I'll show you guys how to ink over, and we'll use felt tip markers like a Sharpie or different pens, like something I have quick and handy next to me. I'll show you real quick. I have this right next to me. It's called a Micron. You don't need to get these. I mean, whatever's felt tip. It's not close to me, is it? Let me see on the other side here. No, I don't have it close to me right now, but I'll show you next time. I love these Pilot. Oh, I have one right here. Sorry. I like the not Pilot, Papermate pens. You know, they come in different ways. I like the one with the solid black, not just the tip, but the black little holder that it's in there. Some have a white, but this one is a little sharper in point, I believe. So that's just a preference for me. So, whoops, come on, add to stream. And let's do this. So here I am inking my guy. And you see here I'm shortening him up a bit. I didn't like how big I made him, so I'm going to come around here. And actually, let's go around this way too. And I'm going to erase and clean this up because I don't want it to be very sketchy. This is supposed to be my clean art that I'm going to, go over. And the lighter you draw, the better it is. And I showed you guys how to hold the pencil in other videos so that you don't have to, you don't have to worry too much. And then maybe this foot is up like that. And this is coming in. Okay, you know what? I'm really not happy with the way those look at all. So, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to change his position. Whoops, what'd I do? Okay, so I'm going to change his position because sometimes when things get difficult to draw, I'm not saying not to draw them, because you want to practice, you want to get good, but maybe he's sitting like so and his feet are out. Maybe one foot's out like that. Does that look right? That doesn't look right to me. And this is the other problem. Like, use reference. Go out and look for pictures of kids and how they're sitting, or take photos of yourself. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to bring his leg up and down like that. And I'll go in and I'll erase things. So if we don't see everything right now, I said I wanted to, but I'm not going to get too upset at the moment. All right, so I got that. And because he's a kid, they're kind of, you're kind of flexible. So you could draw and sit in weird positions that you can't as an adult. Like that. And let's see how that looks. Looks a little weird to me, but I might go in and fix it before I go to the inks. All right, so let me bring in the TV set. And if you want, you can use a ruler to create straight lines. I don't really usually like that unless it's a necessity for me. And let's go back up right now and look at, what's his name? Pee-wee. So I'm looking at Pee-wee's face, so I know how to draw him. Okay. And did I change my brush? Yes, I did. I don't know how that happened. Okay. So now I'm going to put his big nose right here. I'm going to bring this in, and maybe I'll make him sleeping, And I want to look at him again. So yeah, I got that right there. I just want to make sure I got the whole actual look. So his head's kind of more rectangular than I made it. And he's got some hair. Goes like that. And his ears are kind of floppy, which are going to get colored in anyway, so I don't care if I make a mistake. All right, and he had a big body, and he had some spots on him, right? Actually, his spot you wouldn't see right now because he'd have his leg here, and I'm gonna I'm gonna look up actually how dogs sleep, so I can get a good idea and make it kind of look believable and realistic. Maybe it's got a little design in it, little buttons or something, some couches have that. We'll figure it out. No, don't like that there. I'm not going to put that picture in. I didn't like it. And you only want to put in what you need. You don't want to make it too busy of a picture. You want to focus. The kid and the dog are the main focus, right? And you notice how my line just got a little wrinkled right there? What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom in. When you're drawing digitally, one of the best ways to get a very straight line is to zoom in. Or you could use, so even those kind of, that's too straight, but whatever. Oops. I'm holding the shift key when I do that in a lot of programs. The shift key, why is it doing that? The shift key will create straight lines for you. One a little thinner. And I try to keep the spacing, like I see my spacing is off. So maybe I'll add another one right here. And I don't know. Maybe let me move this one over. I'll move this one over and this one so I can kind of estimate. And if you want, you can get really into, I want my ruler to measure out exactly where the lines would go. It happens. A lot of people do that. I just tend not to. Okay. So I'm in panel 1. I got panel 1 done. However, I'm looking at something I did, and Jimmy here is not looking at the TV, right? His eyes look like it's going in the opposite direction. So I got to fix that. And there are different ways I can fix it. You know what, actually? And you could do this with another sheet of paper and glue it down or erase a little bit. But I'm going to take his head. I'm going to cut off his head. And I saw a piece that I want right there. And I'm going to go to Edit, Transform, Rotate 180. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. How about Edit, Transform, is it Flip Horizontal? Yep, that's it. That's what I want. So I'm going to come in, I'm going to move it in and bring it down maybe a little bit. And this is the beauty of working with computers. I'm going to bring that down to there. And Command D. Whoops, select. Command D, go to my eraser. And erase the pieces I don't need. And now you could see here that it looks like he's playing, but I need to fix his arm now because the shoulder has to be kind of covering the head a bit. Okay. So his shoulder is going to be up like so. And we'll have his t-shirt come on. And then maybe I'll bring this one down a bit. And erase. So these are things you need to think about when you're drawing out your story. And if we look at this panel without the without those pencils, you can see it's a little cleaner. I got to go in and fix up the arm a bit. Okay. Now for time, I'm not going to be able to pencil this whole strip in front of you. You can see this took me a while to get one panel done pretty good. You know, I still want to go in and touch it up a bit and clean it up, but I'm still going to be trying to draw very lightly. What I want to do is draw the final one. And the reason for that is because I want to show you how to work with the text balloons. All right. So I'm going to do the last panel, not the one where he's running up to the bathroom. So I'm going to create, am I not on my brush? No, I'm not. Okay. I'm going to create the balloons. And if you need to, rotate your paper. I'm not doing it right now, but I do rotate quite a bit in this software when I draw. And I should be doing it right now because I see the lines not coming out as good as I want. Whoops. You don't want like two even sides next to you. You know, if you go small, make the next one big. Oops. Okay. And I don't want it in him, so I'm gonna bring the other one right here. And they get smaller as they get to as they get to the character. And I'm going to bring this one down just a little bit. I don't want to erase it because I really like the way it came out as the circle. I just don't want it so close to that one. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to draw the dog. So let's look again at Pee-wee. He's kind of got a fat face, right? So I'm going to come in here. And which one is it? Yeah, it's this one I'm working on. Okay. And we're going to draw, does he do, nope, he's got one nice curved line here. And I don't like that one. That's, nah. Let's zoom in a bit. That's a little better. Kind of got this big nose, right? It's kind of got this head that's shaped like a pear, you know? And he's got this line that comes down. And I'm going to zoom in so I can get that nice curve I want. So I'm going to bring down that line. And I'm going to get that nice curve coming up. Coming down. And we got 1, 2. I think he has 3 dots I gave him. These are where his whiskers would go if you were to draw the whiskers on him. I'm not going to. I usually don't draw whiskers on dogs. It's just a thing I have. And, you know, because he is a dog, his tongue's going to be hanging out. And hold on, I don't like those lines. Maybe his tongue is not hanging out a lot, but just enough, you know. Just a little bit. And inside here is going to be all black. And I'm going to put an X in there. An X in like illustration and in comics is a code that knows that means something's going to be all black. Okay. So I'm going to give him his eyes. I'm going to give him some big eyebrows up here. He's in a very happy mood. Right, and if we go back and look at him, okay, he's got 3 hairs that go back. So I drew his hairs incorrectly here. You see, I got him going front. So his hair is going to have to go backwards. That come in and attach to the ears. Okay, and we could decide now, where do we want this to be cut off? I'm going to go right here, then maybe right here, and then just a nice X because I know they'll be black. And this will be notes for me when I come back in later. And he has a big body, right? So his body, I'll start here. It'll go through that circle maybe. No. I'll bring it a little lower. There we go. And now we got to look, and I got to look to make sure, but a dog's legs are going to come out like so and maybe be bent, I believe. If not, I will fix that. And we'll have 1, 2, and 3. Then we'll have the other paw here, 1, 2, and 3. Okay. And we'll have his bottom. Okay. Thank you to whoever 8KTOXST. Although I don't know what GJ stands for. Okay. So you can see here now that I have I'm going to fix that one. I have a bit of, what needs to be done here. I may even show a little bit there. So this would take me a lot longer to finish today. I'd probably be working for at least another half hour to 40 minutes to get this done with the panels the way I like them to be. I'm not going to do that today. Now, I know Noah asked if I'm going back to an hour of drawing. I was always doing the hours, and this one we're at, right now at 50 minutes. It's almost an hour. My goal is to shoot for an hour with you guys, but if I go a little less or a little over, to me, it's not a big deal as long as you guys are getting the education that I want you to get out of this. So we've been doing, Phil, this is the third installment of making comics. The first one, I went over some comic strip characters with you. The second one was on Monday, where we created a story with these characters. We created these characters and a story. And this one, I'm penciling now, and I'll pencil this before the next time I'll finish penciling it before I see the next time on Wednesday. Remember, I'm not going to be doing a stream on Memorial Day. And then that'll be on inking and how to go over this in ink and make things pop. And the last one will be on coloring and how to use it. And if you don't want to color it, it's fine. A lot of comic strips start off black and white. It's very easy to stay black and white. I actually enjoy black and white comics. A lot of the stuff I collect, even in superhero stuff, I like to buy these things called, from DC Comics, called Showcase. And what these Showcase presents are, I think it's Showcase Presents, yeah, are old comics without the color in black and white. And I love reading those type of things. So we're going to do this. We're going to just continue. And when we do the coloring, I'm going to show it as a digital coloring, but I'll talk to you about how you can color it with colored pencil or marker or even watercolor if you want. At the end of the day, it's up to you guys. But what I will recommend, and I'll say it again in there, when we're done at the end of inking, I recommend you make a photocopy of it. These days, if you don't have a photocopier now, scan it in and print up another version. This way, if you mess up on the coloring, you can always go back and print out another copy to work on. So that's going to be a tip next week, but just something to think about. Next time, after you've penciled your comic, and I hope you have your comics penciled, if you have a felt tip marker, a combination of different sizes, I like this Papermate a lot, and then using a Sharpie, which I don't have near me at the moment, and then using a Sharpie to fill in larger areas. It's a great way to work when you don't have the pro supplies or, what artists work with. And a lot of artists, there was a cartoonist, and I'll probably bring him up. He passed away a few years ago. His name was Randy, I believe Glassbergen was the way to say his last name. And he did tons and tons of stuff. And from what I understand from reading about him, he inked in felt tip markers. He possibly even this one. I don't even remember. So, you'll use what you want. Finish before next time I see you on next Wednesday. Finish penciling your comic. I'll finish penciling my comic. We'll go over inking. And then when we're done with inking, and if inking, we do the same thing where I stop and I just ink certain sections and I'll ink them, finish inking, however it plays out. But I'll try to keep it within that hour time frame. All right. So thanks a lot, guys, for joining me. I will see you next Wednesday. Have a great Memorial Day, time off, and keep drawing. All right. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.